Good morning. How's everybody doing? Want some water, baby? That's it? That's all you want? Here, have some water. Oh, she sees some kids coming. She might be intimidated. Want some water? Come on. We're halfway through our walk. I woke up so late that I did the first half of the walk drinking my hot tea. You got to get out here before it gets too late, that's for sure, because it gets hot. What is it? You got some water. Mac, you want some water? She's too distracted by the kids. Mac, what's this? What's this? You want some water? Oh, let's just try this. She says, Mommy, you're so tricky. It's beautiful and hot today. Beautiful day. Before I started this YouTube channel, I used to always get up and walk drinking my hot tea. Oops, there we go. Try to get this back on my fanny pack here. These carabiner clips are excellent. Perfect. Okay. So as we were walking here, I noticed that a lot of the mesquite pods are starting to get ripe. It's interesting though, because some of the trees, they just still have flowers. They haven't put any pods on at all. So I guess they're kind of like tomatoes. They have some sitting on at different times. I don't know if it's fair to compare those to tomatoes. I've actually harvested quite a few big tomatoes off of our Thorntons. So I'm really thinking about, it's not enough. I don't have enough to make like pasta sauce. I mean, I might be able to make like some salsa for fresh use, right? But I love canning tomato sauce. And these tomatoes are really sweet. So I thought about actually pureeing them and putting them in the freezer because I'm expecting to get a lot more off these tomatoes. So a lot of thought going into that project. And I've been struggling a little bit with my tomatoes in the grow room. So if anybody has any suggestions for me on that, I'm not really sure what happened. I started adding more water just in case it's heat related and maybe they're not getting enough water. We do have an air conditioner in there. Hey, Ron, good morning. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining in this morning. Sorry, I just saw you. I got sun in my face. But I've had a few leaves fall off of those tomatoes that were doing so fabulous. The other possibility is the spider mites, which you can't see. So I sprayed them down good with some diatomaceous earth, and I'm giving them a little extra water just to see if that corrects our problem. I hope so. If not, I might go find a shady place in the yard to plant them. Only because they haven't been exposed to natural sunlight, right? You don't dare put anything that hasn't been hardened off out in the sun now in the intensity of our summer. Rainy 58 degrees in Maine. More rain than this previous 70 years. Wow. We're not getting any rain here, Ron. Okay, we had one day, like a 3-day stretch, and one day it rained hard, and that was it. So they'll be warning us about the lake here anytime now. We go through this every year. Part of it, though, is they let water out of the lake, so I'm not sure how much of it's a little manipulation. One thing's for sure, it sure doesn't seem to be stopping those builders. They're building out every square inch of ground here in the desert. I guess you can get permits for that, right? Building in a place where there's a shortage of water. Oh well. So you're getting plenty of rain in Maine. It's funny how that works. Alaska's having a really cold winter too. Our daughter's kind of disappointed. Last weekend when her and I chatted, the warmest she'd seen so far was 62, which is a very cold winter for Alaska. Well, okay, let's be a little more specific. Fairbanks, Alaska. Some areas in Alaska don't get super hot, but Fairbanks has the ability to get quite warm in the summer. Oh, you had an air quality alert because of the fires. Hey, thanks for the hearts. Yeah, we've been watching that. I thought that was the only good thing about the rain is hopefully they won't get so many forest fire smoke. Maybe clarify that. Forest fire smoke, but you're telling me you're having air quality alerts even with the rain, so dang. Yeah, I remember some of those forest fires in Alaska. They were never close by, but man, that smoke just infiltrated everywhere. It was horrible, especially if you were in an office building with no air conditioning. Nobody has air conditioning in Alaska. At least no building I ever worked in. It was always a struggle working in a professional office to find clothing that was professional looking, but not too hot to wear, right? Don't have that problem anymore. Yesterday I got a little warm. We went to the gym and I was wearing some clothes that were previously comfortable, lightweight, but synthetic doesn't breathe, right? So synthetic is lightweight and cool in the cooler months. We have a couple of those, but it's not good in the summer heat for sure. It's a beautiful day. So I don't know if when you tuned in, but I was noticing some of the mesquite pods are starting to get ripe, and I won't be reaching any of those. But I thought we'd walk a little further today in a slightly different direction so I could check out and see if those trees are making mesquite pods. And I really don't get a whole lot of mesquite flour, but it is kind of fun to add into baking projects. It doesn't have gluten, so it's not going to rise, but it does add a cool flavor if you put it in with your bread or just a little bit of it. And it's super nutritious. Hey, thanks, Ron. It is gorgeous this morning. You know, I think where you go, you're going to find different kinds of beauty. You know, the desert is very different from Alaska. Alaska's very green, a lot like Maine. But the desert's got a beauty to it as well. So thank you. I'm sure Maine is absolutely gorgeous. It's funny, we're seeing ads for cabins for sale in Maine right now, and it's probably because it's a great time to market to Las Vegas, right? When it's really hot. Sometimes you need your sleep, but I'm like, oh man, it's 10 to 7 when I woke up, and I looked at my phone just to see what the temperature was, and it was already 85, and it's like, get your butt out of bed, get your tea, and take it on the walk. You're not sitting around this morning and having a leisurely wake up. Miss Meg needed her walk. You can see she didn't drink much of her water because the kids spooked her, and so I poured it on her. She didn't like that too much, but good morning. How are you? All right, crazy girl. She's friendly to a fault. That didn't sound very friendly, Meg. Shame on you.
Come on.
She's like, I'll spin for you.
Let's go.
I'm sorry, her manners aren't so good.
Let's go.
You have a nice day now. Enjoy your walk.
Come on, let's go.
Why are you being so roughhouse, huh? You're being so roughhouse with that little dog.
Let's go.
Little brat. We'll let her get a little bit ahead of us. Because Meg's a little stinker. Oh. Yeah, Maine is 90% woods. I believe it. Alaska's kind of the same. It's a very small population for the square footage of the state, for sure. Mr. Painter is still in bed. I didn't bother getting him up. He looked like he was sleeping good, and I thought we needed to get moving. Didn't have time for everybody to have their coffee and get going, so we just got out here for a walk on our own. Hey, Alan, good morning. Welcome to the channel. Meg is loving this grass. The dogs cool off through their feet, so I imagine walking on this damp grass that just got watered feels pretty dang good for her, right? She's a pretty interesting dog, though. She's definitely more heat tolerant than some other dogs. Like, I had to be really careful with Rio. He was a long-haired Belgian Malinois. They're made for colder temperatures, so he lived most of his life in Alaska and a few years here before we lost him. But Meg is also half Siberian Husky, but she's half American Staffordshire Shire Terrier. And those dogs, the Staffordshire Shire Terrier brand, oops, there's a ground squirrel over there. I see I have a comment. I'll have to look in just a minute. Is it a ground squirrel? I can't tell if it's a ring-tailed ground squirrel. Meg is fascinated with those animals, but I have to keep her away from them because it's like a mommy and a baby, or a daddy and a baby. I'm not sure. Can you see them? I almost missed it. They blend in right with the ground. You definitely don't want those buggers by your house, but they sure are cute. All right, Meg, let's go this way. Let's leave them be. Let's let them have their peace. Good girl. Well, she minded for that. All right, let me see here. We've got some comments. Hey, Alan, I'm glad you think our dog is cute. Yeah, we spent a lot of the last 2 weeks at the Samstown bowling alley because they had the Senior Masters and the Super Senior Classic. And my husband bowled the Super Senior Classic, and he was doing great. And then he came down with a really horrible cold, and he was weak on day 2. So he missed the cut by 2 pins, but he was actually relieved he missed the cut, even though nobody wants to go out on a tournament, just he didn't feel well enough to bowl. And we had friends we were watching bowl as well, which was kind of nice. It's always nice to make friends, right? Okay, so Alan, those were ground squirrels. I think they're the ring-tailed ground squirrels. I couldn't see their tails, but I'm glad they're a few streets away from my home because those things would really be hard on your yard for sure. It's bad enough that we trap and catch some rats, I think when you live in the desert, everything's hungry, and if you're growing anything, boy, there's their food source, right? I'm sure they have things that they eat that naturally occur in nature, but I don't know that much about that. Man, it's hot out here today. But it's beautiful. I'm getting some sunshine. I wouldn't be getting that if I was back home in Fairbanks, right? Excuse me. Good morning. It's pretty peaceful this morning. Just a few people out walking, some kids on the park. Really enjoying this morning. Ron, we have coyotes here for sure, and I haven't actually seen any this year. In the past, I've seen them running along that wall. Like last year, I saw 2 together running, which was interesting. Usually you see those earlier in the morning, but I have been out here early a couple times and I haven't seen them. And years ago, when Mr. Painter first moved here, I think it was in the year 2000, he actually had a bobcat jump in the yard. When he first moved here, none of this was here. It was all desert and like 10 houses, right? So that's how much this place has built up in the last 25 years. Like he was out in the middle of nowhere, but now you can see they've built it all up, right? Thankfully, they can't go too far without building the mountains right there. I think that's why he picked this location, other than he could afford the house, right? He had looked at another house on the other side of town, and it was out of his price range. And I'm glad it was out of his price range because I wouldn't want to live there, because now the traffic is so horrible. That side of town is so built up. He actually did really well, and we're getting a lot more traffic on this side too, but it's not as bad as some areas. And actually, now that I'm not doing any work, it doesn't matter so much to me because I don't really drive a whole lot, maybe to the grocery store. I do a little driving. If Mr. Painter goes out of town, I drive just so that I keep my driving skills current, right? Not to worry there, but it's kind of nice. He likes to take me. I have my own chauffeur. Oh, I'm so glad you like my garden run. I'm going to do a few pictures of that here once we get back. Okay, what do you see? A rabbit? A ground squirrel? She's really fascinated. She's actually more interested in those ground squirrels than she is the rabbits. Don't worry, we don't let her terrorize them. I kind of wish she would go back to going out in the yard in the middle of the night, though, because one time she actually chased a rat across the yard. I was so surprised. It's like, why are you sniffing in the hose tower? And next thing I know, I see a flash of movement, and she's ripping across the yard chasing something. A rat, right? You're not helping your mommy out much. It's okay. She's my little friend. She likes to go for walks for sure, so it works. So this year, the critters ate most of the grapefruit off of the tree. I have 2 blooms that survived and are actually making grapefruits. So that's horribly disappointing because last year we got about 11 grapefruit on that tree. And our delicious apple was going to make apples. And I'm like, what happened to the apples? And I'm pretty sure the critters were eating those off too. The Anna apple we netted right off because that is a very productive tree. In fact, soon I'm going to be making apple pie filling. I haven't picked a day for that, but I need to do it soon. I'll be making apple pie filling. So thankfully they didn't get those apples. I mean, they actually got some of them, but there were more blooms. Probably more blooms than the tree could support, but dang it. It's been one of those years of fighting with the critters. Last year we didn't set very many rat traps because we had so many quail chicks in our yard, and we had robin chicks, and we had all kinds of chicks in our yard. And we didn't want to catch any birds, right? But this year we stopped feeding the birds just because the quail were so horrible. They literally ripped most of the almonds off the almond tree before I realized they actually liked the almonds on the almond tree. That was the line in the sand. I'm like, okay, you guys, I'm feeding you seed and you're destroying my trees. So now we have 2 quail that check the yard a couple times a day, and I try to be home to go out there just so they see me and they leave, because other words, they just eat everything. And man, you put so much effort into growing here. It's not easy. We are getting a lot of figs right now, so we've been enjoying some ripe figs. If you do net trees, which is pretty much what you have to do to harvest anything, you definitely need to check your nets a couple times a day, because we've rescued a couple of birds that have gotten in the nets, which it's bizarre. I guess they're just flying along so fast, so focused on eating a fig that they don't even think about or see the nets.
I'm gonna go up there this time.
Okay. Your dog's cute. Meg, once she sniffs noses, she calms down. But initially, she's just so crazy. Gotta play. So,
How this one is.
yeah, yours is littler though, so it's a little easier to manage. Have a nice day.
Oh.
Come on, Meg. You're too crazy. You don't get to play. Too crazy for such a big girl. Hey, yeah, I'm still working on that quilt run. I got kind of distracted. A friend of mine needed a couple things, and I sewed her a dress, and I turned some pants into capris for her. Her and her husband just left town. They were the friends that we were watching at the Senior Masters, and they're going out on the PBA tour. And so I sewed a cute sundress for her, and she really liked it. So I'm like, well, I got to sew one for me too, right? It's sunny here, perfect time of the year. So I'm almost done with that sundress, and then I'm going to pick back up on the quilt. I've kind of slowly been working on it, but yeah, I'm still working on it. It's the first time I've ever done a quilt, so it's not so bad that I'm taking my time with it, because it gives me a chance to think about the next step, which is important. And I do have a few resources, so we'll see. It's only going to be a lap quilt, especially since I'm mailing it, right? I'm mailing it to... I'm going to give it to my husband's youngest sister. She's a year older than I am. It's going to be a gift. She actually gave me the initial Hawaiian fabric that I was using for it. So it's pretty colorful. A lot of people tell me it looks nice though, so we'll see. I'm a little more into muted colors myself. I mean, once in a while I wear a bright color. They actually look good on me, but I never really think of it because I like softer colors more. But this is pretty bright, but it's colorful and it's going to be pretty. So yeah, I am still working on that project. It'll be nice when I finish the dress, because right now I've got the dress sitting in one area, the quilt stuff sitting in another area. So I'm kind of cluttering up the grow room a little bit. The sunroom, the grow room, can you tell I didn't really finish my tea? The sewing room, it's the sewing room office, goodness. Yeah, I'm still waking up. But yeah, I'm still working on that quilt project. And let me see if I can see my phone here at all. It's so bright out here. It's fun sewing. I actually am going to make a hat too to match the dress. I think that would be kind of fun. And I have some cute little patterns that are for, like, I don't know if you'd call it a shrug or a shoulder cover, like little tops that are short that you can wear just to go over it, just because it's it's not spaghetti strap, but it's kind of a strappy summer dress. So that's kind of fun. I haven't decided if I want to make everything match, like everything the same color, or if I want to pick a color fabric and use that color for, I need to think about that. Probably the shoulder cover probably should be the same color as the dress if I have enough fabric. I might have enough fabric. I don't know, I got to think about that part of it. First, let's see if I even like the sundress once I finish it, right? I'm so happy that everything that I made, I also made a wrap skirt, and some people call it a rip skirt because you have a Velcro along the waist and you literally just wrap it around and Velcro it. So that's pretty cool. You can make it smaller or bigger if you want, right? That's the first thing I made from my friend and she really liked it. So, and I have one that I made for myself, but I need to add fabric to it. When you first make a pattern, you don't know the sizing, how it's going to fit, how accurate the pattern's going to be. And so I need to extend that fabric a little bit, basically so when I sit, it doesn't expose too much leg, right? I guess that's the short of it. But the colors are beautiful for me, and it fits well, other than I just need a little more fabric. So it's definitely a journey. And I guess if I'm going to sew anything for anybody, I definitely have to be able to measure them, because a lot of times the sizing on the patterns may or may not be American sizes. And even if you buy clothing, sometimes things run small or big. And then a lot of times people don't even really know what size they wear, or they'll tell you the size that they want to be. I've made a couple of really beautiful embroidered jeans for friends, and I've only seen 2 of those people wear the jeans. 2 of the people told me the size they want to be, not the size they are, and then they gained weight on top of it, right? So they've never worn those pants, and the pants can take me as much as 2 weeks to embroider. You have to rip the whole inseam out, and then you have to hoop the fabric when you embroider it, and some of those designs actually take a couple hours a piece, so I don't do too many of those pants. Nowadays, mostly I make those pants for myself, right? I'll take a pair of blue jeans that are really worn out, like almost ready to go into the trash. By the time I'm done with something, it's worn out. It's not really Goodwill material. But if you embroider those pants, you can reinforce the fabric, plus make them really pretty, and you get 2 or 3 more years out of them. So it's a good use of old jeans, I think. So I'm walking a little further along here, going a different way, because I want to check these mesquite trees to see how far along they are, as far as like the mesquite pods that you make mesquite flour from. And these are the same trees that you get the mesquite barbecue wood for, right? So that's pretty cool. Yeah, some of these are actually ready. I'm not going to pick any today because I want to get back home. It's kind of late. I'll do that on an earlier day, and you dehydrate them. You have to dehydrate them at a higher temperature than a lot of other things, just because if there's for any reason any aflatoxin, or hopefully it's dry. It's really dry this year. We're not getting a whole lot of rain, right? It rained once before. That's what actually got all these trees blooming. We had a really heavy rain. So I think we're going to be safe on that. You just never pick them up off the ground. And if you see any mesquite pods that have a hole in them, don't pick those, because that means a bug got in them, right? So soon we'll be ready to harvest some mesquite pods. What I usually do is I pick a few here, a few there, I put them in a bowl on a table, and then when I get enough of them, I start dehydrating. And those I dehydrate in the oven because I want to be able to put a specific temperature in, a specific higher temperature. When I dehydrate in the sun oven, I try to get that around 105 degrees. It's harder to control the temperature on that because it can get really hot. Like it can get like 350 degrees, no problem. But to dehydrate, you have to turn it away from the sun and have it flat. In other words, it just gets super hot, which is awesome. You always wonder how well those sun ovens work. Well, let me tell you, if you live in the desert, they work really good. And I haven't done a lot of cooking in it this year so far, mostly because we've just been on the go, bowling tournaments. We have a break now for like about a month, I think. think his next tournament is July 17th. So I'll have a little more time for my projects in the kitchen and for sewing. And I think he's going to meet up with a niece and some great nieces. Oh, Meg might have to use the bathroom again. Let's see. For a couple days. So I'll probably do a big sewing fest during that time frame. I need to, yeah, she had to go potty again. Let me get my bag out. I need to see if I can get that microphone working, the new microphone on my laptop. Because if I can do some lives with y'all. Invite you into my kitchen or to my sew room. All right, let's get this bag and wait for her to finish. Whew, it's getting hot out here. I'm definitely sweating this morning. Still got to water the garden. All right, let's clean this up in just a moment here. Gonna be a gorgeous day today. Wish me luck on those tomatoes in the grow room. They looked so perfect, and I just don't know if I wasn't giving them enough water. You know, you can get in a lot more trouble with too much water than not enough. So the spider mites are also suspect too. And you can't actually see spider mites. They're so small. I mean, if they were to, looks like we're gonna need a second bag, and I have one. If they were to, like, the big ones, if they were to, like, drop off on a white piece of paper, you'd be able to see specks, right? All right, I'm getting the second bag out here. Are you about done, girl? All right, she's done. Let me get this. All right, let's go find a trash can and let's head home. You got to get those plants watered before it gets too hot. You can't put any water on your plants once it hits 100 degrees or they will burn. Literally burn holes in the leaves. It's crazy, right? It's kind of like a magnifying glass on your plant, right? Did you ever use a magnifying glass to set anything on fire when you were a kid? I let something smoke once under a magnifying glass, a leaf. And that's it. I didn't set it on fire. I wasn't a firebug. Oh, those are so pretty. That's kind of how the water works. It's like a magnifying glass. And I don't think you can set your plants on fire with a magnifying glass, but you can definitely burn holes in them. So we just won't do that. Let's go get that watering done before it gets too hot, right? And on that note, if you stick around, I'll see you back in the garden in a few minutes. But have a blessed day, and thanks for watching. Oh, hey, Jay Carmen, welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining us this morning. Have a blessed day.